This is WAEC June 2020 General Mathematics Paper 2, and we are answering question number 5, and the question reads: a die was rolled a number of times. The outcomes are shown in the table. This is the table. The outcome 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 6. These are the numbers on your die. So whenever you roll, it is one out of this outcome that will be displayed on top. 1 is shown 32 times, 2 is shown m times, 3 is shown 25 times, 4 is shown 40 times up to the end. So the question further says if the probability of obtaining a 2 is 0.15 given in the question. The question asks is to find question number A, the value of m, question number B, the number of times the die was rolled, and question number C, the probability of obtaining an even number. So let's attempt to answer this question. Solution to the problem, what you do first, you now attempt to get this very probability of getting the number 2, of course, is given. To do that, you have to find the total outcome. The total outcome will now be the total number of times this die was rolled. So you now add these frequencies of each and every outcome together. That gives you the total outcome. So total outcome will now be equals to 32 plus m plus 25 plus 40 plus 28 plus 45. Adding this correctly give answer 170 plus m. That is adding the constant numbers gives you 170, then copy plus m. So this is the expression for the total outcome. That is the number of times this die was rolled. So you now attempt to find the probability of that number 2. Probability of 2 will now be the required outcome, which is the number of times the 2 was shown, divided by the total outcome, which will now be 170 plus m, the total number of times this die was rolled. So substituting the probability of getting a 2 by 0.15, you now have this simple equation: 0.15 equals to m all over 170 plus m. So solving this equation will enable you to get m, that is the number of times the 2 appears on the die. That will now be the answer to question number A. So you attempt to solve this very equation. We now cross multiply. The m here multiplied by 1 at the bottom of 0.15, you now have m by the left. Then 0.15 multiplied by 170 gives you 25.5, and 0.15 multiplied by m gives you 0.15 m. So collected like a times 0.15 m shifted to the left now becomes minus, so you have 1 m minus 0.15 m. That will give answer 0.85 m equals to 25.5, which I just copied. Dividing both sides by 0.85 to get m, you now have 25.5 divided by 0.85. If the division is done correctly, you have m as 30. So question number A has been answered. The number of times 2 was shown on top is now 30 times. So we move to question number B. Number B, we asked to find the total number of times the die was rolled, which is given by this expression 170 plus m. Now m is now known as 30. So substituting, the total number of rows will now be 170 plus m. Replacing m by 30, you have 170 plus 30. And adding 30 and 170 correctly gives answer 200. So this die was now rolled 200 times all together. So move to question number C. Question number C asks to find the probability of obtaining an even number. The even numbers as our outcome could be either 2 or 4 or 6. These are the even numbers from your die. These are the only even numbers you can have as outcome by rolling a die. So what you now do, the sum of the frequencies of obtaining those even numbers from this table will now be your required outcome, and your total possible outcome is 200. So how many times the 2 was shown on top is 30 times, that is m, plus how many times 4 shows on top is 40 times, so you have 30 plus 40. How many times 6 was shown on top is 45 times, so you have plus 45. This summation gives you the required outcome because any among these 3 numbers, 2, 4, and 6 that happens to be on the top we are done because we would like to get an even number. So addition of 30, 40, and 45 correctly gives 115 divided by 200. And reducing this very fraction to simpler form, dividing through by 5 give answer 23 all over 40. This would now be the probability of obtaining an even number, and that answered all the 3 questions. So let me just share with you quickly the mark distribution for this very question as it is done in the marking scheme. The very first mark is method 1 mark, and that method 1 mark is now substituting correctly in attempt to find the probability, the required outcome by M, the total possible outcome by 170 plus M. If done correctly, you have this method 1 mark. Next mark is another method 1 mark, attempting to solve that equation for M. When you now cross multiply, you have this method 1 mark. Still, if you simplify further in attempt to get that M, that is to solve the equation, up to this level where you have 0.85 M equals to 25.5, you have this method 1 mark. And when you now have your M as 30 exactly, you have this accuracy 1 mark. Next mark is bonus 1 mark. For getting the total number of rows as 200, you have this bonus 1 mark. Now the next mark is another method 1 mark, and that method 1 mark is attempted to get the probability of even by substituting the required outcome 30 plus 40 plus 45 in this very formula for finding probability. You have this method 1 mark. And when you now have the required outcome as 115, you have this accuracy 1 mark. And when you now have the probability of even as 23 all over 40, that is this 115 over 200 reduced to simplest form, you have this accuracy 1 mark. So in total, this very question, if everything is done correctly, you have 8 good marks.